Hi. In this video, we will explore how to create a base plate for a tower using the VTS Virtual Tower Structures software. To create a base plate, we begin by clicking the Base Plates command from the Tower tab. Next, we click the plus button to add a new tab. The first parameter allows us to assign the base plate to a specific column, or to all columns in the model. We then define the plate dimensions. We click the Base Plate Library button here, and add a new base plate specification. Several shapes are available, and for this example, we'll select a rectangular plate. For a rectangular shape, we need to enter the plate length and width. Here, we'll use a length of 400 mm and a width of 250 mm. We also specify the plate thickness, as well as the edge distance, which is the distance between the anchor rod and the edge of the plate. In this example, we'll use an edge distance of 55 mm. We then rename the base plate and click OK to validate. The base plate now appears in the drop-down menu, and we can select it from the list. For rectangular base plates, we need to add a rotation angle of 45 degrees. Next, we specify the weld size, for example, 8 mm. We can now define the anchor rod dimensions using the Anchor Rod Bolts library. We select the desired anchor type from the list, and we click OK to close the window. And then, we click here to generate the fabrication model. Once the model is regenerated, the updated base plate geometry is displayed on the screen. We can also add reinforcements to the base plate. The first type of reinforcement available is reinforcement on toes. Here, we can define the dimensions of the reinforcement plate, the width, for example, 80 mm, the height, such as 200 mm, and the thickness, which in this case will match the leg thickness of 9.5 mm. We can also specify the weld type, such as a square groove, V-groove, and so on. We click OK to close the window, and then generate the fabrication model to display the updated geometry. For this type of reinforcement, we can also add a preparation, such as a clip. If we select the clip option, we can specify the clip width and height. We click OK, regenerate the model, and the updated geometry appears on the screen. Another type of reinforcement is placed on the heel. Two reinforcement options are available here. The first is a plate, where we can enter the width, height, thickness, and weld size, for example, 6 mm. We click OK, regenerate the model, and the updated geometry appears on the screen. We can also add a clip to the heel plate. To do this, we select Clip from the Preparation drop-down menu, and then specify the width and height values, in this example, 50 mm for both. We click OK, regenerate the model, and the updated geometry appears on the screen. The second type of reinforcement on heel is an angle. In this case, we select an angle section from the Standard Section Selector library, and then specify the length of the reinforcement. For example, 200 mm. We click OK to close the window, and then regenerate the fabrication model to display the updated geometry. Instead of using a reinforcement plate, we can add a gusset that connects to the diagonal. We activate the gusset by selecting the checkbox here, then we specify its dimensions. First, we define the thickness. Next, we set the value W, which represents the width of the gusset at the bottom, for example, 40 mm. We then specify the edge and end distances. For example here, we will enter a value of 24 mm for each. We can also define the values P1 and P2, which represent the extension of the gusset next to the diagonal. Finally, we set delta T, which is the distance between the leg and the diagonal. Once all parameters are defined, click OK to close the window, and then regenerate the fabrication model to display the updated geometry. If we don't want a reinforcement when using a gusset, we can deactivate the reinforcement by selecting the option, None, from the Reinforcement Layout drop-down menu. We click OK, regenerate the model, and the updated geometry appears on the screen. We've now completed this tutorial on how to create a base plate for a tower using the VTS Virtual Tower Structures software. If you need more information or have any questions, feel free to reach out to our team.